Hey everyone, I'm Yesenia. I'm actually a talent sourcer here for HubSpot. I've been here for 2 years. Welcome to First Gen in Tech. Super excited to chat with you all today. What we'll be chatting about today is how to leverage LinkedIn and help companies find you. So, little storytelling time before we jump right in. So, as I shared, I've been with HubSpot for a little over 2 years. And if I'm honest with you all, when I first started my journey in trying to break out into tech, and I found a lot of barriers in the fact that no one in my immediate circle, including my parents, including my friends and family, didn't really know how to help me as they're not in this industry. I found myself feeling a little flustered, a little confused. I was trying to figure it out and navigate it. And the honest truth is no one really could help me. So I felt a little confused and I said, you know what? We have multiple different tools out there, multiple different things I can do. So the number one thing that I started to do was research. I researched the companies that what was the tech companies I would love to join, what their mission statement was, and how, my skill set and how I could align with this company, and if they aligned with my values, if I'm really honest. So that leads me actually to my first tip. Tip number one is do your research on the companies you would like to join and understand their mission statement, right? So typically, when we're doing our research, we're trying to understand what are their roles, are they open, how do I align, but also I think I challenge you to make sure that you read their mission statement. And HubSpot's case, we have a HubSpot cultural code, which, if I'm honest, I read like 10 times before I even applied. I was so amazed about what they had to offer and how much it aligned with what I wanted in my future. So I challenge you all to make sure that you do the research. When you're trying to break into tech, the first question is like, how do I start? Well, you start by just Googling and doing your research using platforms like Glassdoor. You can use LinkedIn and just start research, quick search, like what are tech companies in the US, or you can make broader searches, more in-depth searches. Just depends on what industry you're looking to break into specifically within the tech realm, right? So tip number one, like I shared, is make sure that you do your research and make sure that it essentially aligns with what you're looking for on your end, right? So, tip number two, I would say, is build a solid resume that showcases and your successes and how your skill set aligns with the role that you're applying for, right? So, I think that some of us, we're all first gen. And sharing a little bit about myself, I'm actually, I do identify as Latina. My parents are Ecuadorian. I'm born in New York City. And my parents weren't able to help me build a resume. Full transparency here. My mom doesn't speak full English. Like, her English is a little broken up. So I can't turn to her when I'm asking her about resume building and how my skill set may align. That's not something that I would turn to my family for, and frankly, some of my friends either. So what I did was I started understanding, like, I read the roles that I wanted to be a part of. I understood the description. I made sure that my skills, I asked myself, how can my skill set align with this role? Does it align? And can I apply, right? So is my resume reflecting what this job description is asking me to do, correct? So aside from so I would think that one of the best things that we can do is try to align our resumes and make sure that we have much success there. um, Tip number three, I would really, really urge everyone. I know that this is really honing in on leveraging LinkedIn. So the second thing that you can do aside from building your resume is creating detailed LinkedIn profiles. Make sure that it highlights your previous experience and your skill set. LinkedIn is a strong platform tool that you can use to network. So, making sure that you understand what your profile picture looks like, making sure that your profile picture is a professional picture and that you're using the headline piece. So, just sharing a little bit about my LinkedIn URL, which will be at the end of this video. You can click on it, take a look at my profile, connect. perfectly fine. But if you look at my LinkedIn, my header actually says that I am a Latina or Latinx tech advocate. Why? Because that is what I want the world to know me as. That is something that I wanted to brand for myself. And it has worked tremendously for me in the last 2 years. I've had awesome conversations about just this header with my candidates. They actually share with me that the reason why they respond to me as a talent sourcer, outside of all other recruiters and sources reaching out to them, was because that they saw my header, they felt empowered, they saw another person of color in the tech industry, and they felt heard and seen, and they wanted to chat with me. So just by seeing that header, they responded to my message. So I wanted to share this story so that you understand how important it is to build out a solid LinkedIn profile, making sure that you're bringing over your skill sets, adding all those experiences, and making sure that you're highlighting what successes you saw in your roles, each role. Don't just highlight or bullet point the actual job day in and day out that you do. I think that the most important part is how did you change in this role? How did you impact each business that you worked in throughout the year? So definitely make sure that you're solid on LinkedIn and building out that profile. All right, moving on to tip number 4. I'm like a huge advocate for this. And if I'm honest, before I even review it, I was one of them. I was so afraid of connecting with people on LinkedIn. I used to think things like, hey, they're so important. They might not necessarily connect with me, or they're going to say, who is this connecting? Trying to send me a connection. But you know what? Tip number 4 is do not be afraid to click the connect button on LinkedIn. And also, send a quick message to them, letting them know that you might admire their work, letting them know that you want to learn something from them, or you just say, hey, thanks for connecting. Would love to chat if it makes sense. I really love your content, etc. But don't be afraid to click the connect button, because we're all human. We're all trying to grow. We're all trying to connect. LinkedIn is a connecting network. So please feel free to connect with me, connect with all HubSpotters. Don't be afraid to click that button, because you never know. I've had the most amazing conversations with people on LinkedIn just because I've actually connected, or if they've sent me a message, we've set time on the calendar, had a 15-20 minute conversation that has impacted my life or their life. So don't be afraid to click on that connect button. I challenge. Moving on to tip number 5, research. So I've actually taken a look at this and seen that, if I'm honest, a lot of us in first gen, we're different in the way that we are raised. Sometimes we're going to school, we're working full time, we're trying to build a future for ourselves. But the reality is sometimes we have to take care of our parents, our family, our children. There are more things that are happening in our life that we sometimes don't set ourselves up for success when we're looking to apply for a job, or when we're looking to set up, prep for interviews. So I really, really challenge you also to do the research in communities and associations that are actually more than willing to give you assistance with resume writing and helping you prepare for your interviews. I know interviews can be so nerve-wracking. I've been there myself. I now do them. And I try to make, as a sourcer, I try to make my interviews super interactive, very calming, but not everyone's going to be like me. So I want to make sure that you set yourself up for success. There are resources out there. Make sure that you're doing your research and having someone potentially help you with resume writing and prepping you for that interview that you're going for. And the last tip that I would love to chat about would be tip number 6. And to me, this is actually one of the most important ones. Be yourself. You are talented and you deserve the opportunity to grow in your career. One of the most biggest lessons I learned in my career so far is I have to be myself. I never forget a time that I did not get the opportunity that I had in front of me because I was listening to everyone else and I tried to show up as 5 other people. I was not Yesenia. And then my manager actually called that out in my interview process. And, I learned this hard lesson, and I really want to share that with you all because I really, really, really want you all to make sure that you are yourself. You do deserve this. Do the research, set your profiles up, and use LinkedIn as a tool. It is a tool for networking. So hope these tips resonate with you all. And I'm excited for you all to enjoy this awesome event. Uh, excuse me. Thank you so much for chatting with me today or listening to this conversation. My contact information is here. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Excited to see you all, and would love to chat with you all. Please, send me a message. I would be more than happy to chat with you.